in theory.
Hey, everyone. We have a super exciting show today. Jackson Dietrich is here to talk about being a Red Wolf and his amazing winner over the weekend. We've got awesome breakdowns of FIFA rule changes and big news in USL. And as we know, Saturday, they are releasing a brand new kit that we're also very excited about. And we have an exclusive sneak preview of what that third kit was going to look like. We've got Bob Martino as the model. Guys, do you have it ready?
You ready? All right, you ready? And live. Oh, man.
Oh, that's magnificent.
This may actually outdo the Rusty third kit. And so, wow. I know where he sits in the stadium. He sits by Beth and I, so that must be the King Bob chair.
Get your pre-orders in now.
Yes. Yes, give him a call because these are going to go quick. Who's got the opening?
What is this opening you speak of? There's an opening? Are you sure? I'm not confident that we have an opening.
Because we're going to chat.
Wow.
Fantastic podcast.
Wow. Power.
Well, that's
Soccer chat with 2 T's because we're going to chat about soccer, but we're also in Chattanooga. So it's like a play on words. And, Chattanooga is a soccer city.
Wow. I try to cover for Adam and he just pulls it from my claws. So he's got to have the control. Man,
I just want my main computer to work again because this is killing me being on this 12-year-old computer that keeps freezing.
Wow.
I can thank my daughter for doing whatever she did to it to kill it.
Bum, bum, bum. Well, let's jump right into the program. We have Red Wolves forward Jackson Dietrich.
All right, let's bring Jackson in. You got to turn your
just a moment. He'll get his camera back on.
Yeah, and his mic. So either that or he's watched the show so far and he's changed his mind.
I wouldn't blame him.
Yeah, it's pretty fair.
Hello?
It's bad.
Hey, Jackson.
Now, hello. There you go. And there's Jackson.
All
right.
Oh,
I got some very serious questions for him.
So, Jackson, we wanted to start out. So I have a lot of jokes that I make about the fact that I scouted you and got you signed with the team. But in reality, we did see you at the January Combine. And despite what we may think, you definitely were a player that stood out. So I was wondering if you could take us back to coming to Chattanooga to take part in the Combine. What did the team tell you? What were your expectations when you got there? And just kind of how did it feel going through that process?
Obviously, at that stage, it was a pretty stressful time for me just because I hadn't signed for a team the year previous. So I just trying to get in the best shape possible. And then I just went out and expected to be hopefully a standout player and one of the better players on the field. And luckily, it worked out.
And so as you went through the process at the end of the day, was there anything that the team told you at the time, or did you have to wait and kind of hear from your agent after the Combine was done?
Pretty much the next day they offered a contract. I know I talked to Jimmy Oblate as well for a little bit. I knew him from back home, so I felt like it was going to be a good fit, especially knowing somebody that I've played against most of my career. So I thought it was a good fit, and it's worked out great so far.
So I've got a really important question. Did you feel like you had an advantage going into that, being that we'd already had 2 previous Dietrichs on the team and we really needed to go ahead and fill the Dietrich role within the organization?
Yeah, I don't know. It might just be a match made in heaven, but I didn't know there was 2 in the 2 years previous. So
and it's
3 now, so we're looking pretty good then.
I got to believe your name's not the most common last name. And then to add to it that soccer in the U.S. is not the most commonly played sport by a lot of kids, unfortunately. So to have 3 different Dietrichs representing, I feel like we're doing you guys a good service for that last name at least. And then this year, you've really shined.
For sure, I couldn't agree more.
And as kind of becoming a bit of a super sub for us. How do you feel in that role?
Yeah, I mean, definitely something I have to get used to. I'm playing definitely more attacking than I'm used to in college, so it's just good, trying to get used to the new position, and then when I get my chance, I just try and cause havoc and do what I can to help the team.
So I've got some questions. Go a little further back. You ready, Jackson? All right.
Of course, yep.
Wir wurden in Deutschland geboren. Wie war Bremen? All right, so he was born in Germany. So what was Bremen like? Okay.
That wasn't actually too bad. That was actually pretty good. I'm impressed. But Germany, I mean, Bremen was great. I mean, when I was growing up, just everything was just based around football. That's the only sport I played growing up, the only sport I knew. So I used to play soccer from beginning of the day till the end. And that's really all I really remember from living there. I mean, it was just soccer, soccer, soccer every day. So it's definitely a great place to grow up, especially around the game and stuff.
So, wie waren Sie, als Sie die USA gezogen sind?
I was 8 years old when we moved to the U.S. We moved to L.A., and then 2 years later we moved to Vegas. And then when I was like 15, 16, I moved back for a year and played for a little bit there and lived with my dad. So that was pretty good too.
Ja, Vegas ist noch sie Bremen. Ja. So 2 mehr.
What is happening? Jeff didn't think we were niche enough, so he decided to go German in our interview.
Warum haben Sie Wright State bekommen?
I chose Wright State. I felt like it was a good fit. I knew a couple guys on the team as well, and the coach and I had plenty of good talks. I thought I could go there and make an impact straight away, which ended up working out for me. So it was a great couple years, and the program's just on the up there. So we had a lot of draft picks, a lot of players that went to the next level. So it was a great place for me to progress as a player.
Wie ist Chattanooga, Tennessee im Vergleich zu Dayton, Ohio?
Yeah, actually, that's a funny question. I think Dayton, Ohio, and Chattanooga are very similar. Small town feel, which I like much better than big cities. So I've enjoyed it a lot, but it definitely reminds me a lot of Ohio, except definitely a little warmer down here than it is up there.
Yeah, very good. All right, guys, I'm done. It's
good.
English. Oh, yes, he's got to answer them back all in German now, so we cover our German audience. I'm trying to expand. Our reach, guys.
This does have an international flavor, and we
does.
love that. So I don't want to put a lot of undue pressure on you, but you are tied for first in goals among Dietrichs in franchise history. So talk about the amazing goal that you had on Saturday. You're setting up for that free kick. Are you expecting the ball to come to you, or are you just kind of hoping that maybe something comes your way that you can try to get your head or a piece of your body onto?
Yeah, I mean, we actually talked about it after the game. We didn't really practice this set piece play like that, but there was, I think, like 30 seconds left, if that were. I think we were even over the time. So just try to get as many bodies in the box as we can, and just maybe try to get a flick or do anything to cause chaos. And luckily, it went in.
Now, the broadcast, they were very confused about who scored. Did you have any doubt that was your goal once it went in the net?
No, actually, I had no idea. I knew I touched it. I flicked the ball, but I thought maybe somebody touched it behind me. But at that point, it really didn't matter who scored. We were just happy to get a point after 3 games in 8 days or something crazy. So it was important to get a point on the road.
So as you come into this rematch with Greenville, this will be the second game with them. Are you preparing for them in a different manner than last time, or is it very similar?
No, I think every team we play and every game we go into, obviously the approach is maybe a little different, but usually we just focus on ourselves and we know if we do that, it doesn't matter really who we play. We should get a positive result from the game. So we don't have too much of a different approach going into any team or anywhere we play. So just sticking to what we do, and we should be good to go.
Well, with so many teams like Greenville and Richmond, does the coaching staff work with you on how to avoid players that are flopping on the ground? So you don't run over them like a speed bump.
No, we haven't talked about that too much. Everybody has their own tactic, I guess, but we'll just stick to what we know how to do, and then they can do all the flopping they will or they want to do, and we still should come out on top.
Of course, they can't score goals when they're flopping on the ground, so I guess I shouldn't complain too much.
Exactly.
So you mentioned that you're playing a little bit more of an attacking role than you had in the past. Tell us a little bit about the transition to that. I know that we've had some players that have gone the other direction. So you think, Jono and Ricky Ruiz last year both going to defense from more of an offensive position. How is the transition going from a defensive-minded player to an offensive-minded player, and what's the big difference there?
Yeah, I wouldn't say, maybe that came out wrong earlier, that I was super defensive. I mean, I just played now I'm more of a forward, attacking mid or / winger. In college, I was more of a 6 and an 8, so more of a box-to-box or a holding midfielder. So obviously, I was more opening up play and passing into the guys on the wing to take on guys. So that's been a big transition. Definitely trying to go at guys 1v1, try and get better at that. And obviously, the responsibility defensively, the way we play is still just as high, or if not higher. Tracking back, being on your guys on marking 1v1 is a huge part of our game. So that stays the same for sure.
So one of the great things to see when you scored your goal on Saturday was the entire sideline just, jacked up and excited with each other and celebrating. You guys really seem very tight this year as a group that really gets along. How has that helped as you guys, you had to play 3 games in 8 days, you had to have a road trip. How has those bonds that you guys have been able to form helped you get through a lot of these tough games? And of course, you're known as the Cardiac Wolves. How has it helped you guys come up with those late goals when you need them?
Yeah, I think, everybody gets along with everybody, you know what I mean? It's not a lot of time. I've been in a lot of teams where it's not like that, but here everybody's back. We hang out with each other all the time outside of training and games and stuff. And then when you are in that, in those last 15 minutes where we do score so many goals, we know anybody that's coming in on the bench, anybody that's still on the field will give 100% because that's what the guy next to them is doing as well. And I think that's, especially now going into the second stretch of the season here soon, it's going to be even more important to have that bond and just to push us through the tough battles that we will have.
Now, every time we come to the stadium, it seems like our King Bob has brought us something else, something new, and it's a continuing growing process. So what's it like playing in a place that is continuing to grow and it's in flux and change?
Yeah, every fan that's there, and every time we play at home, it's crazy. Even the days where there's not as many fans, it still seems like there is because it's such an intense atmosphere. The fans are basically right on the field, so it's definitely doesn't really matter to us if there's 100 people or 1,000,000 people. We're gonna still give 100% and hopefully show the fans and show the city proud and do what we can to win every home game, of course.
So you've had not a lot of travel, but you've been to a few different places. Is there a huge difference in CHI where the stands are built pretty much right on the field, like you said, as opposed to some of the others where there's a little more distance? Can you tell when you're playing in those away games that it's a little different, the fans are further away than when you're playing at home?
Oh yeah, 100%. The home games are truly home games for us. You feel the fans' energy. It's like, that you get a throw in and you can basically give the whole sideline a high five. So it's definitely a unique atmosphere from all the stadiums we played so far. And I definitely think it's going to be tough to beat us at home, especially with our fan base and all the support we have there.
So speaking of some of those stadiums you've played in, specifically Omaha, is that the smallest stadium that you've played on since you were 7?
Yeah, I mean it was definitely crazy small. I mean, it was unbelievable. You can kick it from half field. I mean, it was narrow. It was not long. It was crazy. It was definitely an experience.
Well, I think they're measuring them in corn cobs rather than in feet. So I think that's probably how they're getting to that. So Jackson, I know a lot of players kind of have their own pregame ritual to get them in going and to get their headset. So tell us, what is the Jackson Dietrich pregame ritual?
Man, I don't really would say I have one specific ritual. I'm not really that.
You don't have like a song that you use to get yourself going?
No, just whatever I feel like listening to. One day it could be pop or whatever. We can be rock or hip hop, just whatever I'm feeling that day. I usually try and do something in the morning, either like a small lift or play basketball or just shoot around, just do something so I'm not in bed all day. But that's about it usually.
So when you think about the fans chanting for you, what does that chant sound like? What chant would you like us to do for you? Because we could probably make it happen.
I have no idea. Got me on the spot here.
Because if we just make it up, it's not going to be as good.
Yeah, make something up that sounds pretty decent. I don't know.
So when we had España on, he basically said, "My name is unique, so just chant my name."
There you go.
Unfortunately, your name isn't unique, but we may be able to call
not
you.
for our team.
We may be able to call you D3.
Dietrich.
No, that doesn't sound too good.
Dietrich. Dietrich. Dietrich.
Well, Jackson, we want to thank you so much for joining us and coming on. I think, Alex, do you have any more questions for him? Do you have a closing question for us?
It's not really a question. It's just, I don't want to put undue pressure, but if you can score a goal Saturday, you definitely will be the highest scoring Dietrich in club history.
Mm-hmm.
So
no pressure.
Definitely keep that in mind.
And by default, our favorite Dietrich too. So, I mean, if you get another goal, you get default, you would be our favorite Dietrich as well. So, no pressure.
For sure. I got you guys.
Drei Punkte.
Of course. That's even more important.
Yes.
All right. Thanks so much, Jackson. Have a good game on Saturday. We look forward to seeing you score that goal to become the top Dietrich.
All right. Awesome, guys. Thank you for having me. I enjoyed it. Have a great night.
All right. Cheers.
All right, folks. Jackson Dietrich.
Yeah.
Wonderful job. I owe him a barbecue sandwich. I did trade on the fact that I tried to recruit him into getting some Charlie's barbecue from the team. So we'll have to take him down there maybe sometime in the off season, because that's definitely not pregame training food.
No, that wouldn't be a good pregame ritual.
So as we look at the game coming up Saturday, I thought we'd take a quick look at the League One standings and see where we are. Things are looking pretty good for us. We have a game in hand against Greenville, who comes into the Den on Saturday, and 1 point clear of them already. So this really is a chance to take control of the top of the table. What else are you guys noticing as you look at the standings here?
Well, it's tight, and we've had way too many draws lately. But thankfully, so have Omaha and Greenville, including.
Or 4-0 losses.
Yeah. Yes. Or their loss. So that's kept us quite alive.
Was it 3-0? What was their loss that they took on, that Greenville took on?
Hold on. I think I got that here. Hold on.
Yeah, that was a 3-0 to Tormenta, I believe.
Yeah, it was. They had a 3-2. Greenville lost to Tormenta. Not a 3-0. It was a 3-2.
Oh,
they started to come back.
They had the 2-0 lead and gave
up 3
goals.
Yeah. Now they had a 0-0 draw at home against North Carolina, and when I look at North Carolina, the standings, they're kind of wow. So, that's interesting.
Well, I mean, to North Carolina's credit, they did just beat Richmond 4-0 and may have taken the top spot in League One Sports Center top tens. I believe Ramos had a number 7, and they got the number 2 with a lovely half field score over the keeper there in Richmond, who was definitely pulling up in a sweeper position and was caught off guard. But yeah, I mean, if you look at this, I look at it as an opportunity for us to take control of that second spot and get an opportunity to say, hey, we're 4 points clear of them with a game in hand. So this game's really important.
Well, also, we need the 3 points, too, to get ahead of Omaha because their momentum isn't really – I mean, yes, they're going from wins to draws, but we've got to get some wins when they get either a draw or a loss. So if we want to pass them – and, of course, they've got a goal differential of 8 to our 5, so we usually don't score big, so we just got to get it on wins.
Yeah, they've got a game at Tucson also on Saturday. That'll be after our match.
Okay.
And so here again, Tucson's a team that's kind of frisky. They came back on us and had the 2-2 draw. But they did also, release their coach because they weren't thrilled with the results that they were having. You see them down there in 10th place. But that's not a game to necessarily take lightly. So we'll have to see how those results play out. But I think it comes down to, like you've talked about, Jeff, we've had a lot of draws of late, and we need to get back to wins. We need to get 3 points. We've got games in hand, and if we can get wins as we move through and catch up to a lot of these other teams that are below us, then it's really an opportunity to run away with it.
Well, going into this match, when we last faced Greenville, which wasn't all that long ago, we got a draw at home, and but since that time, I think we've played better, and Greenville has slipped a little bit. So I think going into this, I think that they are. I think that we're gonna. Not only are we at home, and that's a huge advantage. But I think in momentum wise, I think it's in our favor.
So I agree. If we talk about, we've kind of blended talking about Greenville and what we expect from them. So when they came in last time, again, they were coming off a loss that I think was kind of unexpected of them. Here again, they jump out to an early lead and they give up that lead. So they're going to be coming in with a bad taste in their mouth. We haven't had a chance to beat them in a while. So, they may feel like they really have a chance to be in the game with us. Hopefully they won't have the John Harkes fan club refereeing again.
Right.
But what else are you guys expecting to see from Greenville and the return of Slappy Lomas?
Well, again, they've stumbled a little bit as of late, but they're still a very serious force to reckon with. I think the key is going to be if we could actually get a goal early, that's going to help us a bunch. We know if they score early, we have the ability to come back. But if we could get on the board early and maintain control, I think we could mute out their hope and joy.
I mean, it's the same thing that we've talked about now for weeks on end. It seems like as much as we enjoy, and I put that in quotes, the cardiac Red Bulls. I still want one of those games where I'm comfortable at the 70-minute mark, where we're up 3-1, we're up 2-0, and I'm not freaking out. And I would love a 3-0 lead going into the 80th minute, where you really feel like there's zero chance without significant assistance from a ref that they're going to catch us. And we haven't had that. And I just would like for this to be that game.
Yeah, no complaints here. So as we look at the team that took the field Saturday, they've had a chance to have a full week to recover. Are there any lineup changes you're expecting? Is there anything you'd like to see them do different from this lineup that came out against North Texas?
Yeah, I went in and I brought up who started the last match so we can kind of compare. I think my biggest one is to swap out and have Galindrez start and have Rafa come off the bench this time. to me, I think that makes more sense. Also, if he's depending on how he's done this week, I wouldn't mind seeing Luna start, but I have a feeling what's going to happen is he'll come in about the 60-minute mark.
Here again, so we had Blake Frischnick listed on the injured list for the game in North Texas. We don't know how serious that was, if he's going to be back, but if there was the sort of thing where we could start both Galindrez and Mensigan alongside someone like Ortiz or Villalobos in the midfield, that to me feels like something that's really comfortable in getting an early goal. And having Frischnick able to come off the bench is still something that gives you some confidence. You've got possibly Markey, you've got Frischnick, you've got a couple other people that may be coming off the bench to give that pop in the second half, and can see the rest of the game out. I would also love to see, I hope, Jorge Luna, who's been listed in the 18s the last couple matches, is maybe back in the kind of fitness that he needs to be to play. I would love to see him in that center back role and have Sebastian Capizzucci available again as a defensive sub to help us seal off the game and be that extra defensive sub.
So I agree with everything you said, but I'm going to go a little bit more hardcore on some of these changes. So first off, I would like Rafa to be slotted where Espana is. I would like to see Galindrez in where Rafa started at the very top. I would also like to see Dietrich start in front of Villalobos. I feel like he has really affected the game in a manner that I think would work really well with both Rafa and Galindrez at the very beginning of a game to give us that lead. And assuming Frishy's back, you still have the ability to bring in fresh legs in Frishy and Markey, and then also Villalobos to completely give a whole 3 shots at the top with a lot of skill. And with a 5-sub rule, you have a lot more freedom to do that. So that's kind of where I'm at. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Ray Ortiz get back into the starting lineup. I know that's something Coach had at one point talked about him eventually being a 90-minute man. So I think you could see a lot of changes. But even if you don't, just the fact that we're talking about 5 or 6 deep on that bench is really good, right?
Yeah.
You know, when I just look at what we played in that last game, where off the bench we brought in Rowe, we brought in Galindrez, we brought in Markey, we brought in Jackson, we brought in Ray. Like, we brought in a lot of attacking players, but I would once again love a 2-0 or a 3-0 where we could maybe get Jorge Luna in there if we don't start him and get him some game time. But at the same time, look what I just talked about. There is one true defensive sub that was on our bench. One. And that was a guy coming off of injury. Now, can you slot Ramos further back and maybe put in a Dietrich, or maybe have Villalobos slot back and have Ray Ortiz further forward? Yeah. So it's not like you have to only have one defensive player on there, and there is defensive players that are already on the field that can slot back. But I'd much rather like to see us have something else on the defensive that we could bring in.
Yeah, I remember it wasn't that long ago where I know Coach felt very frustrated that he ran out of bullets just partly because of injuries or not enough players ready for attack. And so I think we've kind of have shifted the other direction. And if we end up signing anyone else, I really hope, I wouldn't mind signing another defender if it's possible before the season's out, because that's an area where, yeah, it's a little lighter. And of course, with having Walefi out, that has forced the change. But I like Ramos in that position. I think he's killing it there. And so if we had someone else to help out with rather than just Luna, I would feel a lot more comfortable, because Navarro, he could have the injury and go out earlier.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. There needs to be a little beefing up of the defense, and I think we have enough midfield pieces that we could just shift Ramos back, that we could have Carrera Garcia playing more of a 6 than being up in the attack, with plenty of guys like Jackson Dietrich and Villalobos and Ray Ortiz and Ricky, who can fill those other attacking midfielder roles, to give us a chance to have a couple extra players, defensive minded, on the bench.
Yeah.
So that's something that I think we'll have to watch and see. Rumor mill, I have heard that Walefi is starting to slowly return to practice. So a return at some point in the season for Wally might not be completely out of the cards, and that'll be really exciting to have him back.
That would be fantastic.
So,
and I think I fall into this trap of, last year the season was so short. I mean, you start to forget that we're not even into August yet, right? And this season runs through, the end of October. So
we're not even at the halfway point yet. We've got a couple more games before we're halfway through the games that are to be played.
Yeah, exactly. So there is time for that.
So now it's time, I suppose, for us to make our painful predictions. Jeff?
All right. Usually I go with the 2-1. That's kind of been my standard, or 1-2, depending where we're at. And I'm going to venture out. And you know what? If South Georgia Tormenta can get a 3-2 win, I think we can too. So I'm going to go for a 3-2. I'd love to see a 3-0 or a 3-1, but Greenville has a way of bouncing back. And how do I word this without it's not uncommon for some of our refs to have their Greenville green glasses on, if not their shirts. So I'm thinking, it's probably one of the reasons we're going to get really frustrated with at least one of the calls. I'm going to go with 3-2.
So I feel like you choosing us scoring 3 goals is a really intelligent choice, because so far this year, Greenville has lost 3 games. Those scores are 3-0 to North Texas, 3-1 to Tormenta, and 3-2 to Tormenta. So if you're going to beat them, it looks like you got to score 3 goals.
You got, yeah.
Right? And they've hit the 3-0, 3-1, and 3-2, so they've hit all 3. So I want to have a comfortable game. I'm going 3-0 Red Wolves.
Jeff, I think someone is an imposter here, has stolen Adam's body and is being a positive person.
Yeah.
I'm a little uncomfortable.
Well,
he's looking at me.
Yeah, it's the bright lights there that really make me think that some kind of extraterrestrial presence has captured him. But you know what? If it ends up with a 3-0 win, then yeah, abduct Adam more often.
So I'm with you, Adam. I want a comfortable 3-0 win. I'm afraid that this isn't going to be the game. I'm afraid the book on the Red Wolves is try to sit back and defend and hope that they expose themselves, try to gum the game up and slow it down as much as possible, whether that means flopping, whether that means taking cheap little shots that the ref doesn't see, whether that means the goalkeeper's holding the ball for 45 seconds before trying to punt it downfield. And so I'm afraid that they defend well enough that if their natural tendency is to sit back and defend and wait for a chance to counterattack, I think they're going to be able to execute that. It's a game that we can win, but I think it's going to be more of a 1-0. Probably a goal sometime during the second half.
All right. Well, we have someone piping in there. Can you guys see the person? I'm not sure if you can do that. And this is, of course, from our friend Brandon D. Wow, we're just out of sync.
It's a crappy computer.
Yeah, I'm going with 2-1 Red Wolves with another cardiac score in the 90+ minute. That's Brandon. I want to say that's pretty likely.
I think Brendan he likes to act like this bothers him. I think he truly enjoys the late scores. I honestly do, because only a person who likes to be tortured would make that statement. And I think we're figuring out a little bit more about Brendan.
I mean, he listens to this show, so
and,
so-
and participate. So he does like
Yeah.
torture. Got it.
So yeah, there's that. Well, I tell you what, it does make you feel like you got your money's worth, because I never feel that the Red Wolves just checked out too early. That they're in it to the very end. Sometimes they checked in late, but but they never check out early. So that's a great thing. And so you want to have that emotion going out rather than at the halftime.
So don't ever go to your car until that final whistle blows, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
That's the lesson. So moving around the area, we our ladies, the Lady Red Wolves, are Southeast Division champions.
Yeah, it's not division, it's conference.
So
Southeast
conference
Conference, and it's in the Southern region. Now they have announced the other conference champions in the Southern region. For the Carolinas, it is the Charlotte Eagles, and then for the Sunshine Conference, it is FC Surge, which is in South Florida. At this time, they have not announced what the plan is going forward. I do know out west and some other areas, there's still some play going on to determine the other conference champions. So I haven't got confirmation, but what I suspect is they're waiting for all of those to wrap up, and then they're going to announce what the next round is.
Okay, so we will keep our senior correspondent on the case to let you guys know as soon as we have national playoff for the Lady Red Wolves. But congrats to them. Great job this season. A lot of fun to watch. If there is an opportunity for those games to be played in the Den, you should definitely go and check them out. Also, Park City is in the USL League Two national quarters. They will be taking on the Portland Timbers U23 that I believe plays out of Salem, Oregon. And they'll have that game, I believe, on tomorrow. And if they can win that, then they move on.
So that brings up a question for me, Alex.
Uh-huh.
What's the shirt you're wearing today?
This would be a Portland Timbers. Cardiac Timbers last night. Felipe Mora scoring with a header to beat LAFC.
So who are you rooting
We
for
give
in
our
that Park
players
City
water.
game?
What's that?
Who are you rooting for in that Park City game? Just got the water joke. Who are you rooting for in that Park City game then?
So I'm rooting for Park City. And that is something that'll be a learning experience for these young men in the Portland Timbers organization. Maybe leave a bad taste in their mouth and drive them to ever greater heights when they get to the Portland Timbers regular team. Yeah, weaseled out of that one, didn't I?
Well done. That's impressive.
So, congrats and good luck to Park City. We'll try to, on Twitter, try to keep up with what's going on with those games and send you updates when we can see them. And hopefully things go well for them. That is kind of the local stuff.
Well, before we go on to outside of the Red Wolves and our local Red Bull stuff, it is the third kit reveal on Saturday. Are we expecting them to wear the third kit? And more importantly, do we know whether or not they will be selling those third kits at the game?
I believe they advertise that they will have the third kits and they'll be wearing it.
I think that's yes to everything. They will probably, I bet you they will have them boxed up in the concession, ready to put on sale as soon as the team marches out in those glorious Rusty the Red Wolf third kits.
Yeah, you're killing me. If you do realize if you were to actually ever get that kit, I will never hear the end of it from you. And that's one of the reasons why I want it to never happen.
I want that kit so bad, even if we have to make it ourselves and make it a soccer chat kit. And I want that kit to happen.
The only way
and I also want to have a special one made with Alex's face that Rusty wears, kind of to twin. Wouldn't it be great? So if Rusty is wearing the Alex kit, well, Alex is wearing the Rusty kit. It's like kit Inception.
Yeah, if we went that way, I think we'd have to figure out a way to have Rusty eating Charlie's barbecue
Mhm.
on if it's a soccer chat jersey, so we can be
Yes.
completely on point.
Yes, brisket. And ribs or brisket or both.
So that brings us to our non-Red Wolves topics. So there's fun discussion in the Red Wolves fan chat and Slacks and things like that about some proposed rule changes that FIFA is testing at a youth tournament. And I don't have them in front of me here. Do you guys remember some of the main ones that we've got? Oh, look at that. There we are. So what do you guys think of them? I guess we'll go kind of down the list here. So how do you guys feel about 30-minute halves? Yay or nay?
So I think the first one connects to the second one.
Yeah.
Because I don't think you do the first without doing the second.
Mhm.
And if they put the two together, this is a very Americanized idea. But man, it would be nice to watch second half soccer and not have part of it be watching people taking 30 minutes to go get a ball that went out of bounds when there's another ball right next to them that they accidentally kick and it goes further away, or to watch them kick the ball further out of bounds. Like, I'm okay with live game time killing. Like, you go to the corner, dribble at the corner, that's fine. My issue with time killing is they only give you 30 seconds and you took 2 minutes to get the ball in play. That's what drives me crazy.
Yeah, the my take on this, especially these first two, is you're going to see a response similar to what we saw in the UK, to what they were, how they responded to teams joining the Super League, and that kind of virile, kind of just attacking response. That's why I don't think it'll fly, especially in Europe, because they're going to see it as an attack on their culture.
So who is the one in charge of keeping the clock?
Like current state? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
It's the ref.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when the guy goes down and takes 2 minutes instead of 30 seconds, who has the discretion to add a full 2 minutes of stoppage time instead of 30 seconds when the guy was down for 2 minutes?
Yeah, which is what happened in our last game, right?
Right.
They held up 6 minutes, and the ref was like, "I'll give you 6 minutes, but we're not starting until the 91:15 mark, so I'm doing 6 minutes from now."
Yeah.
Which is why that was within the extra time. Like,
so the way that runs, basically, the referees, they tend to have earpieces. They talk to each other. So at some point from the 85th minute to the 87th, the head ref told the other ref, okay, there's going to be about 6 minutes of stoppage time. And then there was a substitution after the 90th minute.
Right.
So he's adding time for the substitution after the stoppage time.
Exactly. So anytime
so
you see a stoppage time, it's at least that. So plus additional stoppage.
Basically, my point, we don't have to have a clock stopping, which, the referee isn't going to be the one in charge of the clock if you go to ball stopping when it's out of play. So you're going to find a new reason to argue about, was the ball completely over the line? The ball should have been out, so the guy stops the clock, but he shouldn't have, hometown scoring kind of stuff. I see this, especially going down to the youth levels where people get insane, being really, really ugly. The referees just need to do a better job of managing how much stoppage time they're awarding. Sometimes it's an absolute joke where they, you see the stoppages and they say, oh, it's just 3 minutes of stoppage, when obviously the team has wasted close to 10 minutes.
So I have a question related to stoppage time, Alex. Yeah. Are hydration breaks included in stoppage time?
Yes.
I think they're supposed to be, but here again, I think some of these refs, and here again, it's not a news flash. Some of these League One refs, I think, get a little dazed of everything that's going on, and they forget to say to themselves, oh, we're doing a 3-minute water break, so I need to make sure that gets added at the back end.
Okay.
Yeah, it is supposed to be added. So, well, the question is whether it is or not. That's why I think in other places there's someone else, just like they've got the VAR and so forth. I think there's someone else monitoring it. So I don't know if that would be if we've got the capability to do that. But if you had someone who's not on there, but not on the ground, but in the booth doing that tech, that might be helpful. But that's I'm not sure if we've got the resources for that. But I agree, it's very frustrating when you don't know if this is going to be counted towards stoppage or not. But they have to control it, and when it's these delay of games or just these dragging out the time, that needs to be counted in stoppage.
These referees have discretion over the clock, and I think it comes down to the referee. They've got to be the ones that. If you don't want these people wasting time when they've got to play 15 minutes of stoppage time because they spent most of the second half lying on the ground pretending they were cramping, that'll teach them. And so to me, that and the time wasting of the picking up the ball and running away with it and things like that, if refs would clamp down on those sorts of things early in the game, I think they would do a better job. So let's move on now here to the next couple. We've got unlimited substitutions. Jeff shaking his head. Adam's offended he's walked out
left. I tell you what,
out of the program.
When you've got a club and they've worked hard to get there, like Man City or Liverpool or Arsenal or Man United, that have the bucks to be able to have a really giant roster, that really puts the other teams, that are very exciting but are still just don't have the cash. That puts them in a great disadvantage, and that's going to take away any of the Davids in the David Goliath match. So I don't like that at all. I think 5 is pushing it, and 5 is as high as I'd like to go.
I agree. There was a reason that they went to 5, and I'm hoping as they go into the next kind of season that they start to back that down. The height duration breaks are a thing that I understand, and I don't argue with.
Yeah.
But our NCAA here in America has got kind of a form of unlimited substitutions. Essentially, you can sub all 11 players in the first half. They're not allowed to re-enter in that half.
Right.
And then in the second half, they can go back on. And it leads to very kind of ugly, fast-paced boom ball soccer where everyone is just flying around the field completely out of control. There's no management of their energy because they know that they're playing 90 minutes. There's something about soccer in the fact that it is continuous, and the level of fitness that these players have to be able to play, that sets it apart. It's different from football where, it's very physical, but every 30 seconds you get a chance to kind of slow down and catch your breath. Basketball has 100 stoppages that slow everything down and cause people, they talk about a guy getting subbed out on the bench in a basketball game and how he was out for 3 minutes, but actually got 10 minutes of actual rest because of all the stoppages. The one thing I never hear anyone say, this American soccer is really good, American college soccer. We should make most soccer look like that.
Yeah, exactly. And so
that's why I'm against the unlimited substitutions.
So what this does is it makes it seem like a lower level of play.
Agreed.
And even on our level, I'm proud of, and as much as we're frustrated with the League One refs, and we are very frustrated with the League One refs, I am impressed and proud that we are playing in USL League One because and we're a big part of it, we have raised up a level of quality that I think is very impressive. So if you take a down step, then all of a sudden you have lost your value.
Okay. I'm going to save the last one. Are you guys for throw-ins? Change to kick-ins?
No, it's stupid.
Yeah, there's no point. There's no point. Yeah, there's no advantage to that. I don't see why. Yeah.
It's not going to speed anything along.
Well, and I'm
thinking still stand there and fake kick for 10 minutes, just like they stand there and pump their arms, fake throwing for 10 minutes.
And I'm thinking of it just from a standpoint of how often is it considered a great play by a defender when they manage to keep it from being a corner kick by kicking it out at the very end and making it a throw in. That completely changes that. That becomes a pointless play.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
but
agree.
you know what? And some have the ability to really have a tremendous throw in and to get to places that you can't in a kick in. So it's a strategy that a team could use. But I don't see it. There's no benefit really to change to that.
Agreed.
I think
So
we skipped one. Okay.
Final one is the 5-minute suspension for yellow cards. I've heard this referred to as the sin
hockey
bin.
rule. The hockey rule.
It's basically a hockey rule, and I know this is something that with some of the Biggleswade United matches that they experimenting with, it was kind of separate from showing a yellow card, and it was a lot for dissent. So when someone would hop up and say something kind of mean to the referee, he would send them off, and they'd get 5 minutes standing next to the fourth official in timeout. So how do you guys feel about this one?
So is this that they were up for 5 minutes and they're down to 10 men? Or is there okay?
Yes.
So it puts them at a 5 minute. Okay, because I was going to say if you had to substitute, then you have a problem with your substitute rule. So
it's not hockey, and the reason I say that is it's too darn big of a field that 5 minutes would matter.
Yeah,
you can kill 5 minutes a lot easier in soccer than you can in hockey.
So the one thing to me is there's so many people who seem to feel like picking up a yellow. There's a lot of dumb yellows, and maybe it's just a League One thing that we see a lot of people pick up silly yellows, and if they had to go stand 5 minutes timeout by the fourth official, maybe some of these things that irritate us might kind of dwindle because those guys don't want to have to be standing on the sideline for 5 minutes.
So to counterpoint that, Alex, how often do we say that's not a yellow?
Exactly. And so
and it's going to have a much larger impact. Or think about how often yellow cards get removed after the game for the purposes of accumulation because they reviewed it and they're like, yeah, that wasn't a yellow. Could you imagine if they removed a yellow card and found out that wasn't a yellow and the other team scored on us during us being down 10 men? You never hear the end of it.
Yeah.
Okay, touche on that.
Yeah, I don't see where any of these are going to be helping the game, and I certainly don't see where on any of the major leagues, not just in Europe, but I think also in South America, would embrace it. And actually, I don't think it would help us.
Okay, so next we have a article from Athletic. The Athletic, Jeff Reuter had some reporting about big changes that were talked about at league meetings involving a lot of the MLS2 teams leaving, becoming part of the MLS D3, and how basically now that USL would be essentially an independent league, what kind of vision they had for going forward. What I will tell you is I talked to a couple people in the front office, and they neither confirmed nor denied that these were topics of discussion about possible promotion relegation, about I'm trying to think of what some of the other things. Oh, the other was a big change to the schedule, moving from a summer-based league to being a fall-based league.
Yeah, I you know what? To me, it would make if we'd made a change, because there's no motivation for us to go to the same as they are in Europe. We're not getting players and selling players and buying players too much out of Europe. Where we are buying and selling players, it's in other parts of North America, such as Mexico and South America. So if we were to change, it would make more sense to go, I think it's July to December, because if you want to match yourself with another league, I think it'd be more beneficial to match with Argentina, with Brazil, and with Mexico. That's my take if you're going to change it.
I feel like Greg Hurst disagrees with you about us not getting players from Europe. So does Stephen Beattie. But
Ireland
well, I tell you what, we're not getting them anymore.
Irish League plays during the summertime. They're playing the same time we are.
That's a good point. So my only issue with that switching that schedule is I think you are almost telling anyone with MLS desires, go play in the MLS D3. And I think that's a really bad idea because I think there's a lot of players in championship who have dreams of playing in MLS, and they're going to go, well, the best way for me to get there is to go to one of these two teams for the MLS not to go to the USL Championship.
Yeah,
Because if they need a player in July and I'm not playing, I'm not getting called.
Yeah, because I really want players that don't aspire to move up to a higher league. So there is that factor, but I think going to the European schedule, I don't see a benefit. I think we're fine as is, or making the slight adjustment, which is July to December. I could see a benefit for that, but I understand we're going to have a time where we're going to be we're not going to have MLS teams in there, but I think Adam's right. That is still our top league, and that's what our players. Well, we would love to sell to MLS one day,
right? Yeah, exactly.
So I'm against the schedule, and I think Jeff, kind of your tweak also plays into it in that having a season that is based in the fall to the winter, playing through those months, puts you up against college football, high school football, professional football, and I just don't see us competing in that time frame. That is definitely a way to get buried and lost, and have trouble pulling in fans who, in Chattanooga are driving to Knoxville, going to Athens, driving to Tuscaloosa, going to the UTC game at Finley Stadium. In Madison, there's probably quite a few people who show up at those Forward Madison games that are at what is it, Randall something, Camp Randall in Wisconsin for those games.
Yeah.
So I think that's a really it's not a good decision to go up against that. When you're going up against baseball, I think it's a better play here in America to have competing for eyeballs.
Yeah, we have a more than average groups of teams that play on baseball fields in the USL League One. But if you look at American soccer in general, if they're not on a soccer specific stadium, more than likely they're on a football stadium. So I think just access to stadium really does help by having the current schedule. You're less likely to have a schedule conflict.
Well, and I'm even just thinking about having fans show up or have fans tune in.
Yes.
Because they're going to be watching football. And 8 o'clock USL League One game or Alabama LSU.
Yeah.
I think even some of our folks that are part of our supporter group, it's a secondary TV.
Yeah.
That they're not admitted, that they won't admit on the Slack that they're watching it on the secondary TV.
We do have members in our supporter team that have season tickets and go to the college football. And then, of course, we have a college football team in Chattanooga. And no, I agree. And I think that adds more problems. As I weigh that out, I don't really see the benefit of changing the schedule. But if you did, my option would be a better than. But changing it to how they're going from fall to spring, I think it does us no good.
Yep.
So as far as Pro Rel, I don't think we're getting close to an hour here. I don't think we need to go into that topic because everyone knows exactly where each of us stands. Adam is against fun. I think it would be good. And I think Jeff is kind of on the fence, but not really in favor.
I tell you what, because I've said before, if we were to do it, I think the USL between Championship and League One is best suited because you've got two leagues whose level of play is close, who have the same television deal, that they're on the same television channel. So those two things, if you get relegated, you still are an ESPN Plus.
So the final thing, as we're looking at, moving to a fall schedule, the one benefit of having a schedule that matched Europe starting in August and going through, guys, do you know what that would be? Preseason games against Biggleswade. And that brings us to our Biggleswade report.
That's good. Good segue.
Yeah,
that was good.
So we've got Cardiac Biggleswade. Biggleswade FC playing another friendly against Bedford Town, down 2-1 in the 85th minute. 3 goals. 3 goals by Biggleswade FC in the final 5 minutes to come away with the victory.
Nice.
So here again, they're ground sharing with Bedford Town. Apparently, it was a very sloppy day. There was a lot of heavy rain. But they were able to come back in Red Wolf fashion and they still own the Eyrie, as the ground is called there in Bedford. Biggleswade Town, where they fell, I believe, 4-2 to Oxford United, which is a League Two team. So they're in that fourth level of English football, a club that a lot of times will give youth players to Biggleswade Town on loan, and so good match for them. Chris Nunn seems to be feeling pretty good based on what he's seen early stages for the team there, and we look forward to that regular season getting started for all of them.
Very
All right.
good. Very good.
Well, I think that takes us to the end of our show.
So I am going to be traveling with family and will not be here for Off the Post on Saturday. So Jeff and Adam will have to be giving you the scoop and the skinny on the Rusty Third kits and
I'm the
Red
scoop.
Wolves
He's the skinny.
and the Red Wolves victory.
There.
But I will be back Thursday with you all. And do you guys have anything else?
I'm good.
Yeah, good.
Bye.
Bye.
Now we're trying to have a really big turnout